Hello, or dare I say, welcome back. If you guys thought that I was gonna open with a proper intro, well, so did I, but I still don't know how to act in front of a camera, so until then, this is what we get. Before starting this look, I thought to myself, I want to do something peachy, and then I thought to myself, what does a peach look like? And then I realized I might have forgotten what a peach looks like. So I did the best I could, but I think it translated definitely more into a sunset than a peach. I 100% could have and should have looked up a picture of a peach or several peaches, but where's the challenge in that? I'm really glad that this clip of me doing my brows ran for so long because I almost forgot that some of you might be new and don't know that I use clear brow soap to lay down my brows. But that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm not just like brushing my brow hairs for like a really long time. I am, but it's with like product, not just like an empty spoolie. After laying your brows to rest, they can transcend into their next stage of life, being snatched. Please keep in mind that soap brows do best in cold environments. Do not perform soap brows whilst operating any heavy machinery. Keep soap brows away from small children. You don't want to ruin the illusion. And consult your doctor if you are nursing and or are pregnant before starting soap brows. Alright, now we get to see where the peach got lost in translation. Normally when I'm doing my looks, I would start it out using the P. Louise base, but since we're in quarantine and I ain't gonna see anybody special, we're just gonna use any concealer. But if you must know, the concealer that I'm using is the Hydrating Concealer by e.l.f. Lately, I preferred not to conceal my brows and to pull my concealer out towards my temple. Taking a small blending brush, I'm going to mix a hot pink shade and an orange shade, and I'm going to apply them to the outer corner of my lid. I've definitely fallen into the habit of doing more neutral looks since soft glam is like a drug, but this look was definitely serving me a tall glass of hot girl summer drink. Whenever I'm doing any look, and it's not just like a colorful look, I like to make sure that I start saturating one area at a time. So I like to start out in one area and slowly carry it over into another area, just so I make sure that I get an even distribution of color all the way through. My eyes are pretty hooded, and I know that a few of you out there, or maybe a lot of you out there, might have hooded lids as well. And so what I do to prevent my hoods from swallowing up all the color is I start at the outer edge of my eye, work it up above the crease, and then towards the front of the brow. Once I've established the general shape of the shadow, I start to fine-tune the shape with less and less eyeshadow. But I do prefer to use a clean brush when I'm working the product out towards my temple and towards the front of my brow. If you're like me, you'll just wipe it off like a cochina on your pantalones. Now, I'm going to need you to hold not one, not two, but all of your horses. You're going to take a little bit of yellow eyeshadow at a time, and you're going to work it towards the perimeter of the eyeshadow. I like to use Mama Mitchell's 50-50 rule, where you apply the new shadow 50% on a shadow you already applied and 50% above that shadow. I really like this technique because it makes sure that there aren't like any unwanted lines, and if you guys do see any, I'm gonna need some help finding them because I can't see them. And again, as I work my way out towards my temple, I like to use less and less shadow. Now I'm just adjusting the base shade of my eyeshadow by adding a little bit more pink to make it a little bit more peachy. After reaching the desired height and intensity of my shadow, I cut the crease. To do that, I'm just using my e.l.f. Hydrating Concealer and a flat brush. There is no one-size-fits-all way of cutting the crease, but to open my eyes, I like to place the concealer well above my natural crease, and then just do it from there. I also find that it's really helpful to cut your crease while your eyes are open because your eyes are going to be open when you're looking at people anyways, so it helps gauge what other people might see too. Once I'm happy with the shape of my cut crease, I go ahead and fill in the rest of it with concealer. Since this is a half cut crease and you want the outer edge to blend seamlessly, I use my finger before I go in with a fluffy brush and add any more shadow. After blending out the concealer, take those same pink and orange shades that you used in the crease and use it to create a liner. To create the shape of the liner, I like to apply the color at the base of my lashes and then work it upwards. Then, above the mix of the orange and the pink, I start applying yellow. And just like I did for the crease, for the liner, I'm going back in and I'm resaturating those colors. And because I like being dramatic, I'm adding like a cream shade to the top of it. And then all of a sudden, I started having a crisis, and I was like, this look needs more pink. Like, it's not peachy enough. Like, this is just reading sunset or just like tangerine, and I didn't want that, so I started adding purple and like pink into it in hopes that it'd become and read more peachy. Now, I don't really know if I succeeded or not, but boy, this shit is pretty. After my crisis subsided and I was satisfied with my look, I primed my lashes with mascara for falsies. And then here's a shot of me pretending to put my lashes on properly because I haven't quite figured out how to put them on camera with you guys being able to see it and also me being able to know what the fuck I'm doing. So yeah, I'm just praying. After making some final adjustments and ensuring that your eyes aren't glued shut, you can go ahead and start on your face. To prime, I'm using the Poreless Putty Primer by e.l.f. because I like to look like a little muñequita. And now, just to keep this peachy look tied together, I'm gonna paint my whole face orange. Nah, I'm just joshing, this shit's color corrector. You can blend out your concealer with whatever you want. A brush, a sponge, a finger, your toes, your diploma. I don't care, just set it. And then go ahead and set your primer too if you know it's good for you. But most importantly, don't forget to feel yourself. Now before you feel yourself too much, let's justify it. Using the same shade of concealer that I used for my eyes, I'm going over the color corrector to even out my skin tone and correcting any blemishes that I have. Then using the shade C14.5 in the Makeup Revolution concealer, I'm going in and I'm contouring. I like to apply the product little by little and I use the back of my hand as a palette. And don't forget to contour your lips so they look well fed. This time before I went in and contoured my nose, I applied a layer of foundation. This foundation is the Pretty Fresh Tinted Moisturizer by ColourPop in the shade 15W. And I'm using the same shade of concealer by Makeup Revolution to contour my nose. While applying concealer, make sure to assert your dominance by staring into the camera. And when you're applying concealer to the bridge of your nose, proceed with extreme caution because your nose could go from snatch to Squidward so quickly. So it's pretty obvious, but I have my piercing, and my forehead is really small, so I like to take a brush in this area to blend out the concealer. After letting the concealer on your under eyes sit for a little bit, you can blend it out. I also like to take the concealer and adjust the shape of my eyeshadow. A little tip that I have for blending out the concealer on the bridge of your nose is that as you blend with your finger to wipe off some of the excess onto a paper towel so that you're removing a little bit of the product. I had actually totally forgotten to blend out the tip of my nose when I was blending out the bridge, but it worked out in my favor because the product didn't really move around anymore and it just kind of emphasized the tip of my nose, which is what I wanted. Now, I'm not quite sure how this transition really happened, but I used to be a full coverage bitch, and this is tinted moisturizer, but I'm not even mad. Like, girl, to each their own, but my skin be looking good. And I feel like it's partially because I'm not using full coverage products all over my face. They're not overly matte, and I also don't overly powder. I just apply the foundation in the areas between the highlights and the contours, and on my jaw. Then after blending in the foundation, go ahead and make sure that you don't have any creases under your eyes and then set with loose powder. I like to use the Maybelline Fit Me powder because it has a little bit of pigment to it and it doesn't have any flashback. Other places that I like to set are around my mouth in case I run into a bong, my forehead, or my jaw. And then here's a clip of me years later blending out the tip of my nose. I love orange, do not get it twisted. I am damn near an Oompa Loompa, but I like to keep that energy for my blush. So for my contours, I prefer something a little bit more cool tone. And don't be stingy with the contour just on your cheeks. That shit needs to live all over your face. And then after my contouring, I go ahead and take some warmer shades and I use those to bronze. The contour palette that I'm using is by BH Cosmetics and it's dirt cheap, so if you're just starting, it's a good ass investment. For my bottom lash line, I just took the same pink and orange and blended it out with the yellow.
So you're telling me this is how
After finishing my bottom lash line, I went in and patted in any excess powder. For blush, I just used the same shade of orange from my eyes and mixed it with Rose de Oro by Milani. And just to cement my nose contour and make sure it's present and accounted for, I just go back in with the same cool tone shade that I used on my cheeks. By the time that I started doing mascara, girl, I started going fucking crazy. I cut out all the time, but I spent like probably like 10 minutes doing my bottom mascara, and I just started going insane. After several coats of mascara and some self-reflection, I was ready to line my lips. The lip shape that I like to go for is one that's more brass-like, so what I do to achieve that is I add height to the top and bottom of my lips, and I shorten the sides. The lip liner that I used was in the shade Brown by Italia, and the lippy that I used was Commit by Morphe. But anyway, this is the finished look. I hope you guys were able to learn a little something or were distracted for at least a little while. If you guys try this look, go ahead and tag me on IG at Classical Vagina. I hope that you guys are staying home and safe with your familias. Let me know if there's any kind of other videos that you guys want to see. But until next time, get into these details.